Jorge Gonzales, TopBin90. We're here today with Andrew Privett. Andrew, how are you today, my
Good, man? Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're in some great Charlotte weather, right?
Absolutely. No, it's the right time of the year.
Nice. The right time of the year, the right time for Charlotte FC heading into playoffs, man. How excited are you so far?
I'm pumped. I mean, just for the first time in club history, having the opportunity to have a secured home match for the playoffs. I think it's something that the fans deserve, and I think not only the team is excited, but I hope the fans are just as excited as we are.
Yeah, there's definitely a different buzz around the city, which I like, man. Like growing up here, like having a buzz about a hometown team now is really cool versus before, like you would support teams in Europe or somewhere else and you can't really feel it in your own city. But
yeah, absolutely.
What I wanted to do today, man, is kind of go over, I guess, your trajectory from when you started to where you are now, kind of for our audience to get to know you a little bit as well. Charlotte did a small piece on you last year, I think, where they went to your hometown in Maryland.
Yeah, the hometown visit.
Yep. And, your dad talked about you graduating, like it was pre-kindergarten or something, pre-K?
Yeah.
And he talked about, like, you wanted to be a soccer player, right? So I guess that's always been your dream, right? Can you talk to me about those beginnings for you and just what that was like?
Yeah, I don't know when it necessarily hit me, but yeah, from a young age, I just remember it was like pre-K or kindergarten. It was just one of those normal. You kind of get a sheet of paper and everyone kind of writes favorite color, what do you want to be when you grow up, and you got the astronaut or all kinds of different things. But then mine, I don't know why, it was just always professional soccer player, and I guess it just climbing through the ranks, it kind of became oh, this could actually happen. I'm kind of reaching the top at every level I get to, making my way. And then when I went to Penn State and I started doing well there, I was okay, might as well, shoot for the moon. I'm doing well, and you never know what can happen.
Was it somebody that you watched? Was it just when you went out there you just felt different? What was it early on for you?
Early, I'm not sure actually. I think it was just kind of the inner belief and the inner competition within myself. Okay, just always doing the best that I can.
Okay.
I just think, the environments I've been in. I had a neighbor. I used to always be set on baseball.
Okay.
I used to prioritize baseball over soccer.
Okay.
I was playing both when I was little and through early years of middle school, and then I switched to full-time soccer. I said baseball's too much standing around for me. I need to be moving constantly. But I had a neighbor move in who was a couple years older than me, and he was more into soccer, and I would go around and kick the ball with him, and he was older, bigger, faster, and we'd always be playing around in the backyard, shooting and stuff like that. So I think just kind of getting kicked around and bullied a little bit in that matchup with him, kind of just was always playing someone better than me. So I think that, it was never that serious, but it helped me.
Nice.
So I think that was just kind of a small introductory, and then from there I just kind of kept taking off and reaching new heights with every team I played for, and it's just kind of worked out. Each level, just kind of making my way to the top at some point.
Nice. And then early on, I think you also played fullback for a bit, right? You had the nickname Wheels, right?
Yeah. My first position was right back when I was little. And yeah, I guess I used to be the fastest kid on the team. It didn't last very long, but I used to be. And yeah, so I got the nickname Wheels.
Okay. Any other nickname that that they've given you recently, or no?
Not recently, no. No. I guess I used to have a buzz cut, so I used to be Sergeant.
Okay.
So it was I could be in the military, I guess, when I was 6. But yeah.
Sergeant Privett. It's got a little ring to it.
A little bit, yeah. It works.
Nice. Awesome. And then you've talked about, your route was slightly different because you went the club level route versus actually being in an academy, right? Talk to me about that. What did you see from club soccer growing up?
Yeah, it's definitely different, and I know the ideal pathway that everyone kind of expects or looks at is, you get into academy like the Charlotte Academy or whatnot, MLS Academy from a young age, and you work through the ranks that way. For me, it was just, I think I was a bit lucky and blessed to have such a talented group of guys around me within my club team. Baltimore Celtic, which previously was Baltimore Bays, kind of switched there, but I even played high school soccer with a lot of the same crew, and with the Baltimore private school system. So my club team with Baltimore Celtic, we would play together, for the outside of the high school season with each other, and then during the high school season we were kind of on different teams. So then it'd be like a couple at each school playing against each other with some other kids. So
that
it was
had to
always
be kind of fun, right? The little
rivalry.
rivalry.
It was super fun, yeah. So it's like you're going up against, you play with these guys for 8 months, then the 3-month, or 2-month high school season, you're playing against each other each week. So it's always fun, but it's also keeping it competitive because you're going up against good players, and then you're playing with the same guys and going across the country and playing all the good clubs there. And we were able to win 2 national championships back-to-back at the club scene, and then I moved on because Penn State wanted me to play academy for a year. So that's when I joined Baltimore Armor before going to college.
Okay.
And that's when I played with Bender for about 7 or 8 months.
Nice, what was that experience like? First, you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but is that how Penn State approached you? They kind of saw.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple different schools, and I was almost set on the decision to go to Villanova or Georgetown, and then they came in really late. One of the coaches saw me with the Baltimore Celtic team late.
And what position were you playing at? Were you in the midfield?
I was playing like a 6 or 8 role in the midfield with that team, and then had me come up for a visit, and from that visit I was like, oh, I gotta go here. Like, this is sweet, yeah. And from there I wanted to go to Penn State, and all worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you and Bender? I feel like you guys have similar personalities in a way that you guys are a little bit more reserved. Was he like that as well?
A little bit,
when
yeah.
You met him at first. Okay.
Oh yeah. I've had the pleasure of knowing Bender for a long time, mainly playing against him when I was little. Never knew each other like all that well. Like, of course, been around each other, but more competing against each other, high school, club, even when we were little on like travel ball because we were from like similar area, and then college, of course, where we were competing, and I know we tied each other for like most goals in a season, or same season he went number 1. And he got midfielder of the year, stole it from me, but it's all right. All worked out in the end, so it's all good.
It did.
Yeah.
Nice. Talk to me about maybe the difference when you saw the level change from club soccer to college soccer, right? Because I mean, and Penn State's a good school as well. So, what did you notice? Where did Andrew Privett kind of have to level up there?
Yeah, I think coming from club to college, at each level, you kind of have a step up in the speed of play, the pace of the game, the decision-making and everything. But I think the biggest part for me was just getting stronger. I was still am like a pretty lanky guy, like not like a big bulky dude, but I think I grew a lot, got a lot stronger through my time in college. Focused a lot on the weight room and getting a bit bigger, stronger. I think that helped me with what I already had technically and everything. So just being able to, compete, and be a bit more of a bully on the field helped me a lot. And then along with everything else, just speed of play, decision making, understanding the game tactically a bit more. I think that's where I grew a lot in college, and also playing a bunch of different positions. Yeah, the versatility, it goes a long way.
What all positions did you play while you were in college?
Anywhere in the front 6. So I played a 9, like a false 9, kind of like a 10, inverted winger. And then even just 6'8", which I was most comfortable with. But I was, game to game, every couple of weeks I was switching, and it was a bit chaotic, but it was also enjoyable.
Nice. What do you think you learned there? Because I mean, obviously, like being able to transition to multiple positions when you came here, you had to have that as well, right? So during that period, like having to play multiple positions, what did you think you learned?
Ton of things. You just pick up different characteristics and ideas playing different positions. You also, now converting to a center back, I also know what passes guys like I would want to receive, so I can play the balls that I know guys like to receive in higher up positions, especially midfielders. What type of passes to give them, the information I would want to hear from behind me. So I think it all translates, and it just gives me insight. Previously playing higher positions, to know what they would want to hear, what kind of passes, information to be told. So I think it all translates. All translates well.
Okay.
Helps me out, yeah.
Awesome. You also had a chance. You You mentioned Bender already, but also Patrick Ajiman. You played him once, right?
Yeah, we had.
And so what was that like?
Yeah, we came up together once. It was actually our home opener. I think it was our senior year.
Okay.
He came to Penn State. I think he ended up tearing his hamstring a little bit late in the game.
Yeah, that's right.
Against us.
I think you mentioned
and we tied 1-1. But yeah, I just remember him. He comes on. He's just massive dude, way bigger than everybody else, running by guys, and I was just like, oh, jeez. And then to think about that, when we come to Charlotte as rookies and talking about that game, it's pretty funny now.
Nice, awesome. Let's translate a little bit over from Penn State to, draft night, right? 69th pick in MLS, right? And I think in that same Charlotte interview that they posted, you talked about your dad asked you if there was a club that you would want to go to, right? And you said Charlotte FC.
Yeah.
So were you kind of nervous that night? Like, were you thinking, okay, is there a possibility for me to go play? Like, what?
Yeah, there was a lot of things on my mind bouncing here. So I had a bunch of injuries, so I wasn't really sure how it was going to pan out. Didn't have the best senior year following my, breakout junior year. But, talking, my name was in the draft pool. I was like, okay, so there's a chance, follow it. Wasn't expecting much necessarily, but we went out to dinner and watched the first round knowing, shouldn't be going first round. And then just kind of watched the tickers go by, and we were just talking about it. He's like, yeah, if, out of these teams on this list, like, which one would you want to go to? And knowing how Charlotte has used college guys in the past, I was like, I think Charlotte would be, a good spot, not too far from home. It just feels like there's a good opportunity there. And then just watching the ticker go by, nothing in the second round, and kind of just saw the teams listed up next, and I was like, Charlotte's up there in the third round, like, that'd be pretty cool. And then just kind of going by, and like my dad was watching it from downstairs. We weren't really like following it too closely because didn't have like most confidence that I was going to get picked. And then it popped up. I hear my dad scream downstairs, and I see it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird, but we were pumped. We were like screaming from upstairs. I'm in my room screaming, and then it was just a cool moment from kind of like speaking it into existence a little bit.
100%,
It's a bit freaky how it worked out, that perfectly, but I mean, since then it's just.
I'm glad you didn't say like Real Madrid or something.
No. But no, it worked out. I mean, it's been a dream of how it's all worked out, the opportunity and how it's all worked out for me.
Awesome, man. Who was the first one that called you from Charlotte and maybe talked to you?
First person that called me was Bobby Belair.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a FaceTime with, I forget who else it was. That was,
You're
crazy
just
moment.
Pumped,
Yeah, just pumped up. Bit like, in the days, just like, whoa. But yeah, Bobby Belair called me and congratulated me with a couple other people on the phone. And then it was Latanzio at the time. Gave me a call a bit afterwards and just kind of to welcome me and just talk about, myself as a player. So.
What was your mindset coming in? Because, just because you get drafted doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stick with a team, right? So what were you thinking? Like, what was like, okay, did a different chip come into you, or were you like, okay, what do I need to do to make sure that, I get noticed here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, seeing previous guys, get drafted, go, and, you go to preseason or it may not work out and you're just kind of left with the second team.
Yep.
So I knew that was a possibility, and that's where I kind of juggled, like, am I fully ready, healthy? Should I, stay and, develop a bit more with a fifth year at college? So I bounced around with that idea, but I was persuaded to go and, while they're hot on me, go and make an impression and be myself. So, took that chance, and I felt like I was ready enough, but I knew I was just going to have to, go and prove some value, prove some worth.
And that's when we look at it, like, it's a pretty strong draft class for Charlotte. I think we'll look back at it a couple of years from now, because you came out of that, Patrick Ajiman came out of that, Nick Scardina, Hamadi was the first pick as well, right? So, some of these guys, you all kind of came together here, right?
Yeah, it's been a great draft class. I feel like we've gelled quite well, being those first guys through, first season, and now we're all still here, which is great.
Yeah.
You don't see that a ton.
Yeah.
So I think it's a testament to the guys we had coming out of the draft in that class.
Nice. And then talk to me about, because you played some time with Crown Legacy as well, right? I believe that was the first time where we saw you kind of in that hybrid role of going from midfielder to center back.
Yeah, so we returned from our first team preseason, and I kind of spent the last couple of weeks finishing out preseason with the second team, playing, both midfield and also center back in a couple of scrimmages. So that's where I kind of like got the first look at center back. And I didn't really think too much of it. I was like, all right, this is new, and try it out, and it felt pretty natural from the start.
Okay.
Everything's in front of you, and with my passing and my vision, I felt super comfortable. Everything kind of slows down a little bit because you don't have someone coming up behind you. So I think that helped me out and adapt as I started playing center back and training with the first team as well. And just like translating that over, everything kind of slows down. I think it helped me transition, to the quicker pace of the MLS in the first team.
Now, was that a Jose kind of move? Was that both him and Latanzio? Like what?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it fully came from or who was calling that shot. But whoever shot it was, shout out to them because it's worked, and may not be sitting in the same chair with with everything I've done if I didn't make that switch.
Yeah, 100%. And then I want to ask you a little bit about that time with Crown Legacy. What did you notice in terms of like the speed of play that increased as well?
A little bit. It's a bit different. It's kind of like a mix of academy guys. You got younger kids, and then you also got the college guys mixed in there as well. So I felt that was an interesting mix of players. So you got it's a different pace for sure. But when you get to the first team, it definitely ramps up another level for sure.
Nice. And then you made your debut with Charlotte FC in an Open Cup match, right? And so 4-1 win. You came on. Was that like kind of like a dream come true for you to like be a professional soccer player in MLS?
Yeah, it's definitely a cool moment. Being able to come on. I came on as a midfielder in that game, and it was just like a great opportunity to get my feet wet and get a taste of the game in some real minutes. So that was definitely a good milestone. To see the field and kind of know what I'm getting myself into and to prepare for that next time, which then was Montreal with the MLS debut. So.
Nice, awesome. Talk to me about that. Obviously, like last season, was a bit chaotic at times, but Latanzio trusted in bringing you into the team, and kind of you solidified yourself last year, breakout season, right? Talk to me about that. Like, what was that momentum kind of like for you? Like, okay, like I'm here now, like I can solidify myself as somebody in this team.
Yeah, just got the opportunity in Montreal. I know Latanzio talked to me, before we traveled there. He was thinking about getting me some minutes, so I kind of knew going into that, to be a little bit extra switched on, knowing I may have my number called in that game. I just didn't expect it to be so early, with Guzman going down so early.
Yeah.
But he turned to me and had that trust in me and took a chance. So I'm thankful for him, taking a chance on me, and I'm glad it worked out. But going into that match, like there's nothing to lose. It's kind of we were 2-0 down, which in a way makes it a little bit easier for a guy coming in. But no, nothing to lose. Like go play and go like show what I can do. But that's where you kind of saw the first bits of me playing that hybrid role, where I came in as a center back, but as we got higher up, I would run into the midfield and be a double pivot with Ash. So worked out real well, and that's where I got like my first whiff of confidence of like, oh, like I'm hanging in there, like I'm playing pretty well, like. And then from there, just to stick with me and keep going, and then game after game was just improving and getting even more comfortable in that role.
Do you feel like your confidence built up as you continue to get more games under your belt, get more minutes up?
Oh, for sure. You just get a feel for the game, and also just in that new role at a high level, you learn a lot quickly. You pick up on a lot of different things. Looking back at games, you learn a lot, and I think testament to the coaches here as well. Just walking me through all the little details of going from midfielder now to center back and what to change with positioning and communication, organizing, and defending the box as well. So.
Nice. Isn't it kind of crazy that you go from, like, in the span of 8 months, you know, you go from maybe not even playing in MLS to, like, I don't know, like, you look in August and you're playing against Lionel Messi, right, in Miami, who at that time wasn't even, like, in the radar to come to MLS, right? So, like, is it a full circle moment for you, like, looking at moments like that, like, wow?
Definitely. It happens here and there where I have, like, a full circle moment, and especially, like, talking to people who have, like, an outside eye kind of looking in on it, or, you know, friends of mine, other, you know, friends' parents as well, just receiving nice messages, and it's really cool to look back and see all the support and people being like, oh my gosh, like, you're playing Messi, like, da-da-da-da. Like, I'm like, yeah, like, it's pretty crazy to go, like, oh yeah, 8 months ago I was in college, not even, you know, considering coming, you know, into the MLS, and since that moment it's just kind of been a dream, and I don't think it could have worked out any better than it has. So
for sure. Is there any specific moment that you really enjoyed last season? You know, obviously the game to qualify for the play-in match sticks out to me as, like, a very high moment for Charlotte fans, right? But for you specifically, what do you think it was?
Yeah, I think it actually was that game. You know, I think it's no better situation than, you know, home match, needing to win against, you know, Messi and Inter Miami at our place. And I remember the first game of the season opener, when I was a rookie. I wasn't on the roster, just in the players' suite, just, like, looking at the crowd. You know, I don't know how many fans, 60-something thousand. And I was like, oh my, like, this would be nuts to play in front of. And then come last game of the season, and watching the first game, I was like, wow, like, this would be crazy to experience. Like, not being fully confident of, like, oh, I'm going to play in this, but just being like, wow, like, this would be crazy to play in. And then, you know, come last game of the season, needing a win to get into the playoffs, you know, against Miami, Messi, all those guys at our place, in front of, you know, very similar crowd. And then, you know, playing in that game, getting a clean sheet, getting a win to get into our first playoffs was a really cool moment. Just not only for me, but just for the club, for the history, and for the team that we had that year.
Nice. Awesome, man. Let's transition a little bit over to, you know, this season. Obviously, you know, Dean Smith comes in, right? A coaching change, which is big, right? And so I guess from a player perspective, somebody like you, right, that, like, you just broke out, like, what were kind of those early conversations with him? Maybe were you thinking, okay, I'm going to continue to solidify at center back? Like, what were those conversations with?
Yeah, that's where it was, like, kind of like a question mark of, is Dean going to see me as a midfielder? Is he going to see me as a center back? Just not sure how it was going to turn out. And that's where I kind of, again, bounced around in preseason, like, would play center back in training, sometimes in little scrimmages. I would play midfield as well. So it was kind of feeling out both for Dean to get a look at me in both spots. But he also knew coming in that, you know, I was playing center back and in that hybrid role as well. And I think after, you know, the first part of preseason, you know, he was talking to me about, I see you as a center back who has the ability to play like the 6 if need be. So I think that was good to hear, and I think confidence-wise for me, I was like, okay, great. Like, he sees me in the role that I've been in and can continue down that path, and rather than, you know, switching again.
Right.
So that was nice, and then it's just been a focus on being a pure center back.
Yeah, because I think early on when you did, like, a media scrum, you mentioned that. I think it was me that asked you about, like, big differences that you saw between how you played under Latanzio and how you played under Dean Smith, and you talked about, you know, okay, now I'm more focused on being a center back. Right.
Absolutely. Now it's just, you know, he was a center back as well, Dean was, so it helps, you know, to have, you know, a coach like that who has, you know, experience at the highest level, you know, in my corner, coaching me as well. So, you know, it all really helps. And, you know, picking up the details, I feel like I've grown a ton this year as well from first game of the season until now. Nice.
And then just the improvement overall defensively of this team this year. I think last year you guys conceded 52 goals, now 37, the lowest in the East, second lowest overall in MLS, you know. What kind of factors do you think attributed to that for you guys?
Yeah, part of it's definitely, you know, the way we play as a team now. Being more organized defensively. Also, without me running into the midfield, it's easier because instead of chasing guys for the most part. Everything's in front of me for the most part. And really it's just been, focusing on the little details. The organization's a big piece, and I feel like just being hard to beat as a team. And I feel like we've taken that on board, since our very first game. And there's been hiccups along the way, of course. We're not always perfect, but I think just kind of grinding through each game, laying it all out there helps with Kali behind us. He's been incredible. But I think just as a group, we've just been super solid having each other's backs, and it's paid off this year.
Did the wine have anything to play with you guys?
Maybe it's definitely enticing, and gives you like a little bit extra motivation. But no, that's just been a fun twist on it, and we appreciate Dean.
Yeah, I think Ashley mentioned today that he just came up with some payments that he owed you guys.
Yeah, we had a bunch of guys walking out with arms full.
Those would have been great pictures.
Yeah, had to sneak off. But no, it's been really cool to have that little twist and have some fun with it for sure.
Nice, awesome. And then when you're looking at like partnerships in center back, right? Mm-hmm. You see a guy like yourself who's 24 and Malanda who's 22, and just how calm you guys are and how you're able to improve this team at such a young age. I think that's the one thing that sticks out to me and other people as well. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that partnership between you and Malanda?
Yeah, I don't really know what it is. It's just kind of like an unspoken chemistry that I think we've just kind of keep building. I couldn't pinpoint one thing of what works, but I feel like we just have a great connection, a lot of respect for each other, and I think we just work really well together on the field and off the field. I think we're both pretty similar, like pretty reserved dudes, but I think stepping on the field, I think we have the confidence and the ball playing ability is why we stay so calm, and I think it's also a testament to the older guys, the veterans on this team, like Ash, Tim, all those guys, BB, who's been in the league for a while. Nate as well, in the back line being the older guy, but instilling confidence in us and being there for us, having our backs and everything. So it's been great to have those guys on our side pushing us as well.
Nice, awesome. I want to also talk a little bit about obviously with anything you do, adversity comes, right? Mm-hmm. Tim Ream gets announced coming to Charlotte, right? And so I know you were probably thinking like, oh man, like I've had such a good season so far, we've improved a lot, and seeing a guy come like here, obviously like Tim, respectable career, right? Has done well, right? U.S. men's national team player, right? Coming in. Well, I guess talk to me about that feeling of knowing that like, now you're going to have to compete with somebody of that caliber coming into the team.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one to to see the news breaking and that we were looking at him and then when of course he was signing here, it's like, okay, well, he's a left-footed center back, so naturally it's that's where I've been playing, that's my spot. So anyone in the right mind would have been like, okay, it's probably going to be me. Like I knew it. And it definitely sucks at first, but also you can twist it, and take the positives and say, okay, I'm being replaced by a Fulham captain, U.S. men's national team captain, with a fantastic career that started in the MLS, which I think is very cool and a great guy to learn from. And since he's been here, he's been a great guy to learn from, especially on the field. Just talking with him, the little details that he speaks about. He's been, a great guy to learn from, and I think I'm grateful to have him hopefully here for a couple more years, as long as we're both here, and to build that partnership as well.
Nice. Did Dean have any conversations with you about that, saying, hey, Tim's coming in, but like we still value you a lot, because it's pretty tough like seeing something that's working, right? It'd be one thing if you guys are conceding goals left and right, but it was a partnership between you and Malanda that was working.
Yeah. It was definitely hard to take, and me and Dean had a conversation. He pulled me in to have a conversation, and he did touch on how valuable I've been, and that I'm still super valuable, and to learn and everything, and that you're going to be needed upon again, and it's turned out that way, and it was tough at first to take, and you play so many games, and now you're back on the bench, and it's tough, but credit to the coaches for keeping me switched on and ready to go. So I was just kind of ready, for my number to be called again when needed, and that ended up being New England, and was ready to go. Ready to get back in there.
How do you stay with that mentality? Because obviously you come out of the team as well, and then there's also a period where Charlotte isn't playing well. The goals aren't being scored. It's not looking great for a certain period of time.
Right. We definitely had a drop of form for who knows what reason. It just wasn't happening. And whatever it is, staying ready, knowing that there may have to be a potential switch. Who knows what it would be. Ended up moving me back in, Tim now to left back. We started playing as a 3, and thankfully New England went well. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we've been rolling with it, and now we've gotten back into a good form, and now rolling into the playoffs.
Nice, awesome. Yeah, let's touch on that a little bit because like you mentioned, right? Shift in the back line, back 3 now, right? With Tim Ream, you, Malanda, Nate. When he goes higher up, turns into a 3. What were some of the changes that you saw, like coming? One, you were ecstatic to be back in, right? And you also seen immediate improvement in the team.
Yeah, it's. You want to say it's like, oh yeah, like it's all me. No,
it was all Andrew.
No, I wish. But no, it's a feel good moment to like come back into the squad and have like a very big win like that. So it's definitely a feel good moment in that regard. Also a relief just because with the form we had, like playoffs, you're kind of thinking in your head like, oh, if we keep going down, like it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But also to get that win at home, get back on track. I think it was just a big boost for us to be like, okay, now let's get back in the driver's seat and let's go, get the top spot, that we can finish. And it's panned out that way so far.
Nice, awesome. Was just from your perspective, were you like, I guess like, was there a different level of excitement for you knowing that you're back in? Because from what we notice as well, like we're pretty in touch with the fan base, and they recognize also how important you've been. So there's one thing to know internally, but externally, when people are like, "Yo, we need Privett back in the lineup," how does that feel? Just kind of having that, like the fans kind of show you that type of love.
Yeah, no, it is really nice, and I really appreciate all the love that the fans have given me in that time period. I don't like to dwell on all the comments and whatnot, but at that time I definitely was, I have to say, and it was nice to see that people commenting they want me back and everything, or we miss Privett, and it's always really nice to see those things, and gives you a boost, even especially when you need it, which I did at that time. But come that game, definitely excited, definitely like first game nerves again, because you're like, okay. Got to go play.
Make sure I do good.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a little bit added pressure, but good pressure. But also I think, that 3-game break in a way was kind of refreshing. It's a long season. It's a lot of games, especially through the summer coming off of that. You kind of get into a low energy at times. So I feel like that was a chance for me to kind of refresh, reset, and then came into New England, extra switched on, really focused. And since then I just felt really tuned in to everything.
Nice. Talk to me about the perspective of going from last year where you have to win this match to make a play-in game versus this year where the team is going in with momentum, and you've got other people like, thank goodness we're kind of avoiding Charlotte right now because they're so hot. Like what are you noticing there?
Yeah, I think the mentality we've taken on is, we're the team that nobody wants to play right now, which internally is great, but you can't get, too far in your head and have too much confidence in yourself. You want to kind of still be that underdog mentality going into the game. But I think the biggest thing is, now securing, a true playoff spot. It gives us that chance to have a playoff match at home. And I think, our goal, of course, is to go in Sunday, win. And I think if we can get, that second game here to advance, the place will be rocking. So we want to deliver that to the fans here because they deserve it. for sure. So we want to do that as a team.
Nice, awesome. Also wanted to ask you, there was a very interesting article that came out. I think Tom wrote it during preseason, where the message that he received from, I guess, people internally from Charlotte is, it's going to be a different season. There's a different feeling here with Dean Smith, right? It's one thing to say that coming out of a preseason.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to deliver it, right? All the pundits, 13th, 14th, 12th,
Yeah.
I got to put myself in there. I was like, we'll probably be 9th again, But, seeing that, what was it during that preseason, or why did it feel like so many people had that confidence internally that, the team would have a good season?
Yeah, I think early on in preseason, I feel like just the overall morale and really just the vibes within the team under Dean Smith was more laid back. Of course, there's always the intensity, but I feel like leading us, under Dean, I think it's just been a more easygoing vibe throughout the team. Of course, we work hard and we work for each other. But at the end of the day, like, you're able to, come in, smile, joke around, like, have a laugh at each other. And I think that's just kind of carried this, like, lighthearted mood throughout the team, even when times are tough. Like when we went through that rough patch of form, we stayed true to ourselves and knew we had to just get back to the basics, be hard to beat, work hard for each other, work for the guy next to you, and we would get back on track. And since then, it's worked out. And staying loose and not putting too much pressure on yourself.
Awesome. A couple more questions and we'll finish up. Was there a player that, like, maybe you look up to that you liked a lot growing up, or somebody that you wanted to kind of emulate?
Yeah. Growing up, I've been a Chelsea fan since I was little.
They just lost to Liverpool.
I know. So. It was tough. But I grew up a Chelsea fan, so I always enjoyed watching Frank Lampard.
Okay.
And that was one of my first soccer jerseys that I had. I wore it as a kid for Halloween even.
Okay.
So that him and then David Beckham as well.
Nice.
Those were like my first two jerseys, and the two guys I
were you kind
watching.
of pumped that we were kind of linked with Frank Lampard as well at one point?
I saw that and I was like, oh, no way, like, this can't get any better. But
let's
also,
not tell Dean Smith.
Yeah, I was about to say, glad to have you as well, Dean, but it's been great. But it was cool to see Frank Lampard on that list of names. And I was like, that'd be unbelievable. But no, worked out, like, really happy. Like, couldn't be happier that Dean's here with us now, and it's worked out, really, really well. And I feel like this team has grown a ton, and also has, shown everybody that we're better than what everybody expected us to be.
100%. Nice. And then one thing that I picked up just from you is it seems like family is really important to you. How has that played a role in your just career?
Yeah. My parents love to travel and will go to any game. College even, they're on the road, like Indiana, Michigan, doesn't matter. They're always following the team around and going to every game possible. And even now, they're at every home game for the most part. Most away games, they're traveling. So it's always nice to have, like, your closest support system at every game, and I'm just super grateful for my parents. And also a bunch of friends of mine are always tuning into games, texting me after, even making trips out here and there. So it's always nice to see the people closest to you following you so closely and just always having your back and to tell you how well you're doing, and it's always great to have that.
Nice, awesome. And last one to wrap this up, I think you're a player that, like, is becoming, like, I don't want to say like a low-key fan favorite, but you are, like, obviously, like, when you think of that, people always say like Ashley Westwood, but people I really like are starting to notice the importance of Andrew Privett, right? So, what kind of, like, looking long-term, right? You just signed a new contract with Charlotte.
Right.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave here at this club?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm super grateful to have, like, a lot of people in my corner and backing me, and the love from the fans, and saying that I'm like one of the fan favorites. It's cool to have that title in a way, but also signing a long-term deal. Like there's no other place I'd be right now. Actually, absolutely love the club, the people, everybody around it. So to leave a legacy here, just seeing the club grow each year. I think from first season not making the playoffs, second season scrape in, this year solidifying a spot. Each year we've seen growing. So I feel like in my tenure here, I want to keep progressing and win something here, because we have the best fans in the league, no doubt. So I think they deserve a title here.
Nice, awesome, Andrew. Thank you so much for taking time today to talk to us.
Absolutely.
Good luck in the playoffs. Hopefully we'll see maybe a playoff goal for you as well.
Oh, I need one. Yeah. No better time to get your first. So.
Nice.